Coming up on All About Android, we've got Raymond Wong from Mashable joining us. We're going to talk all about the big Pixel 4 rumor confirmation tweet that Google sent out. Also, Google apparently is taking RCS into its own hands, messaging into its own hands again. Palm's tiny phone is now unlocked. Dr. Mario World is coming to you, and do you want it? We'll talk about that. Also, an updated Nvidia Shield TV is in the works, and we're all pretty excited about it. All that more coming up next on All About Android.
Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
This episode of All About Android is brought to you by WordPress. Turn your dreams into reality and launch your website at WordPress.com. Get 15% off any new plan at WordPress.com/allaboutandroid. And by Grammarly. Grammarly is a communication tool that helps people improve their writing to be mistake-free, clear, and effective. Start writing confidently by going to Grammarly.com/Android and get 20% off a Grammarly Premium account today. And by Aftershocks, unbelievably comfortable open-ear headphones. Hear music and crystal clear phone calls like never before. Visit aaa.aftershocks.com and use code AAA for $50 off the tech bundle. Hello and welcome to All About Android, episode 425, recorded on Tuesday, June 18th, 2019, your weekly source for latest news, hardware, and apps for the Android faithful. I'm Jason Howell.
And I'm Ron Richards.
And I'm Florence Ion.
What's up, crew? You held down the fort, me out last week, and I really appreciate it. Thank you.
We hope you had a lovely time.
We did.
Did you see meowed last week?
You helped me out.
No, I know. Meow. I thought you said meowed, and anyway.
It's okay. I would never say that. I would sneeze afterwards because I'm allergic to those things, whatever they are. Yeah, they can go somewhere far away from me. Joining us is someone who I want close to us because he's awesome. Raymond Wong Ray works for Mashable.com, and you write a lot of stuff for Mashable. It's great to get you on the show. Thank you for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Got a lot of work hitting there. What's some of the stuff that you've been posting lately? Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Yeah, I mean, I cover everything Apple, Android, everything consumer tech. Pretty passionate about all this stuff. Lately, I guess a lot of Pixel 4 stuff.
Yes.
All the stuff coming out of Apple's WWDC. And yeah, Samsung's going to have their new Note 10 in a couple of months. So that's been kind of leaking out. So hopefully we get to talk about it on the show.
Absolutely. We've got all that stuff in and a whole lot more. The Pixel 4 news, yes, we're definitely going to talk about the Note 10, of course, and the old saw of Google finally taking messaging seriously, because we've never talked about that before in the past. So that's what you have to look forward to. That and a whole lot more coming up next. Victor, it's time for the news.
I take Android news really seriously, so here's Android news. Right, meow.
Right, meow.
Yeah.
Nice. Very nice.
I would have leveraged the messaging bit because I feel like that's the real pertinent Android news. Because when I saw this news, I screamed.
You screamed.
You
I screamed.
You're like, ah!
I scream, you scream, we all scream for RCS.
Yeah, maybe someday we'll actually experience it
I taught
to a
my
wide
friend
degree.
that it existed the other day.
Yeah.
That was an interesting conversation.
Google is apparently rejiggering its messaging approach just one more time. We promise. So get ready for that. The Verge revealed that Google plans to run RCS itself without relying on carriers like its plan last year hinged upon.
I don't need you.
And, they were kind of waiting for carriers to kind of get on board with this universal profile that would make it interoperable between them. And it's been really slow going. It hasn't happened. So now Google plans to push their own version of RCS out via the Google Messages app, which is kind of the conduit that they've been using so far. And they will hand over RCS control to carriers as they get theirs up and running. So this is kind of, from what I understand anyways, kind of an interim step. Google Messages will, in in turn work with all of these different flavors of RCS eventually, including obviously its own. And it's going to hit France and the UK this month. No timeline for the rest of the world beyond that. But Google taking it back and saying, hey, if you're not going to do it, we'll do it. And then maybe someday you'll do it. And then when you do it, then we'll say, okay, and we'll switch it over to you. But until then, that's how
probably because it's tired of having to compete with Apple or just not be on level with what Apple users have at this point?
No, I don't think it's not anything to do with Apple. I think it's impatience for the carriers to move it forward and to be like, okay, well, to Jason's point, if you're not going to move it forward, we will, and kind of throws the gauntlet down at the carriers. I don't think this has nothing to do with Apple as far as I'm concerned. I mean, this has to do with the fact that we need to get off the antiquated SMS, MMS protocol across the board, and Google is leading the charge in this. Apple needs to catch up, and the carriers need to catch up. That's what has to happen.
But I think overall,
why does
Flo,
Apple
your
need
point
to catch
is
up?
Right.
They have their own ecosystem that works for them that excludes us, and it's fine.
Wow. Yeah, and Ray, you know, of all of us, you live half your life with an iPhone and half your life with an Android device. We are almost solely committed to Android. Me, maybe like 2 or 3 weeks out of the year, I'm on an iPhone.
Because they pay you to do it.
Yeah. Otherwise, heck no. But so you've experienced the ups and the downs of iMessage. What do you think?
I mean, I will definitely say iMessage lock-in is real, and it keeps a lot of people on the Apple platform, myself included. I just got my mom on iMessage, and she can't stand Android anymore. And
because of iMessage. Like that's the
because
big...
of iMessage. I mean, there are so many features that iMessage has that RCS will get and will bring. Which is things like, richer multimedia, read receipts, those little bubbles when you're typing.
Typing indicator.
People care. Yeah, typing indicators. Like, people care about this stuff. They're very small things that maybe like a lot of people might not think is a big deal, but on iMessage, it's a very big deal, and getting these people kind of onto this kind of modern texting system is going to be very key to competing, I think, with Apple. And I think that, one of the things that Pixel fails to do is, fails to have is a strong messaging platform.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, and it's not like there aren't apps on Android that don't offer all of those things that you mentioned. The big difference, of course, is that iMessage is ubiquitous across all iPhones. And you get an iPhone.
And Apple computers.
And Apple computers, right, yes. Right. Even further out into its ecosystem. And so you don't have to think about these things. You're just in the system. Not to mention iMessage is encrypted, end-to-end encrypted. RCS is not. And that's a really big downside to RCS.
It's funny because I actually, even if RCS was ubiquitous and replaced SMS and MMS, really the only value I would have is for messaging with people who aren't in an encrypted text, whether it's Telegram or Signal or WhatsApp or whatever one you're using that has some level of encryption or whatever it might be. I just think, I know I'm a broken record on this, but it just drives me crazy that I just feel like imagine if the email protocol was now proprietary and you could only email with people who also had Apples. Or you could only email people who are on Windows or whatever. Like, the fact that we've allowed this messaging fragmentation to happen and to become, have people dig their heels in and have it be a differentiator between what kind of phone they get is ridiculous. I mean, like, imagine if the phone system, like the old landline phone, you could only call someone if they were on AT&T too or not, or they used a Sony phone versus not. Like, I just I find it fascinating that we allowed it to get this far when it should be a common universal, and I know this is a little Roddenberry future-esque of me and it's a little socialism and all that sort of stuff, but like, I just feel like messaging should be unified and common across every device and should not be a point of differentiation for brand competition or anything like that, just because it's at the heart of what we use these devices for.
Yeah. But it is ubiquitous. SMS. There's your ubiquitous solution, and everything else is like a different flavor or whatever.
Yeah, but it's not.
Apple's just done a really good job
iMessage.
It's a 30-year-old protocol. I mean, it's old. I mean, like it's right up there with the beeper network. I mean, like we for whatever happened, everybody had their eye on a different prize, and there wasn't a universe. You know, I mean, like I just be crazy. I mean, like look at what happened when USB came aboard, and all of a sudden peripherals worked on every computer, whether or not it was a PC or a Mac or a Linux or whatever. It was a universal serial bus, and look at what that did for it. Like this idea of a universal way of connecting people. It gets me so boiling when I think about it. And if RCS is a step in the right direction, and hopefully Apple takes their head out of their ass and stop to, you know, like, but I know they won't because it is a product differentiator. So
it's a huge.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, huge. I mean, Ray, you said it right there. Like it can be an app or something that completely, it's the ultimate buy-in, right? Like, and your mom has now experienced this. Does she have a lot of friends who are also on iPhones, I assume? And so it's like, whoa, the sun just came out. I suddenly see something very different.
No, she was on an old OnePlus X.
Okay.
And it was just getting too old. And she wanted FaceTime and she wanted Animoji. And all my sisters are also on iPhone. So it was just an easier solution. Yeah. So, yeah. I mean, a lot of like the people that she talks to, like they're in Asia, they're in Europe, her friends and family, they use iPhone or they use Android mainly because of WhatsApp and WeChat, you know?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, interesting.
Yeah.
We'll see if this really changes things. I mean, overall, you know, it's probably good to keep in mind Google's version of RCS doesn't replace carrier SMS the way Google would hope the universal solution would have or will someday. So we're kind of right back where we started, right? Here's yet again Google's version of something that it really wants everybody to use. And if they have the Messages app installed, then they're going to use it. But I mean, how is that much similar than Allo? Well, right? Allo was kind of the same thing too.
That's not a fair comparison to Allo. I mean, like that's on an app level that you're hoping people will adopt and use. Where this is the protocol being used behind the scenes. You know, that people really don't have a choice. I mean, the average user shouldn't know about RCS.
No, it shouldn't.
Right. It should just work, and it shouldn't be a choice. It should just be the next major thing. So I don't know. I just find it, going back to Apple, I just find it fascinating and hysterical every time you think about how much Steve Jobs is rolling over in his grave at things like Animoji and these little bells and whistles crap, you know, and this, you know, when you know, this is the guy that when people would hand him a keyboard to sign, he would pop off the F keys because he didn't think you actually needed them, right? Like a streamlined, frictionless, you know, no buttons kind of thing, and the amount of bloat that's been added to iMessage that people seemingly love, you know, Steve Jobs would just hate. So it's just, I mean, it's just, I find it fascinating.
Yeah.
I love when I get the so-and-so has reacted text message when I'm part of an iMessage.
Yeah. Yes, I know.
Oh, yeah.
Loved.
At least I'm included.
So-and-so loved, and then your entire message.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Got one of those today, in fact. Flo, you got a fun one here.
This one is really fun because we're already talking about the Pixel 4. I know we feel like the Pixel 3a just was a thing, and it was a thing, but that was back in May. We're midway through June now. Yeah. So that means on to bigger and better things and more and pricier things. So the Pixel 4 last week, if you watched our show, you will remember that we were talking about some leaks. Well, Google went ahead and just said, yep, this is it. This is what we got for you.
Yeah.
Do you like it? How do you feel about it?
Unprecedented.
That was Ron's text to us when this happened. It's unprecedented. So in the spirit of all of this, like what is going on with this Pixel 4 leak and just like what it means, I was thinking, why don't we have a little discussion around it? And, you know, I'll kind of start us off with a couple of questions to think about to get your brains rolling. So first of all, why did Google take such an unexpected approach to confirming this leak early? Does it mean that Google will justifiably be competing in the high end this time around? And could this phone be announced or released earlier than the usual October timeframe? I think we should start with Raymond. What do you think? Any of these things?
I think it's a smart strategy that they've kind of jumped the gun and just confirmed the leaks. They can definitely get ahead of the news cycle. They don't have to allow these leakers to kind of slowly drip out information, whether it's accurate or not. They can actually control the kind of messaging and the social presence and the chatter around that. And personally, I think that they're kind of getting ahead of maybe Samsung and Apple. Everyone knows that there's going to be a new Note 10 coming out at the end of, say, August. Everyone knows there's going to be a new bunch of iPhones coming out in September. But nobody, outside like nerds, I guess, nobody really knows that Pixels are coming out in October. Like we know, you know, we all know that Pixels are coming, but like they can basically get people to wait maybe for the Pixel, you know? So, I mean,
wait for me. I'll be there soon. People make these decisions kind of months in advance. You know, they know that an iPhone's coming. They know that Samsung's coming. Now they know Pixel's coming, and I have no doubt that Google's gonna kind of capitalize on this and just maybe even like slowly drip out some more information through Twitter. Honestly, why not?
Yeah, I mean, if you take last year's Pixel 3 launch and the lead up to that, it was like one of the worst kept secrets in the industry, right? Google did a horrible job of keeping any of that information. You basically knew everything about the phone well before the event, so there was absolutely no surprise. It makes me wonder if this early on, they've taken the strategy of confirming the leak and basically saying, yeah, well, okay, you got us, here it is. If they keep doing that. And we still might find ourselves at the event knowing everything, but Google will have just confirmed it all prior to the event. I'm curious to know if maybe the device actually gets an earlier release. Maybe it would make more sense. Maybe they've tried October thinking that they could capitalize off of the holiday push and ultimately, just kind of get lost in the shuffle. It's just too late at that point. I don't know. And this does look like a higher... this definitely looks like what I was hoping for out of the next release. If the 3A was basically the 3, but for half the price and everything that you really want, or many of the things that you really want out of it, I felt like the 4 had to be radically different to actually convince anyone to spend twice the amount of money on it. And this, I mean, just this one render makes it look different enough from a design perspective. You don't have that two-tone design on the back anymore. No fingerprint sensor on the back. You've got the square camera module that shows some interesting stuff going on. This shows you that there's enough different here that I'm sure there are more surprises up their sleeve. And hopefully Google can justify a higher cost, because that was a big criticism that people had about the 3. It's like, why are we paying the same, as nearly like a Note for this when, it's got less RAM, it's got less cameras, all those complaints. So, yeah.
I just love responding to the leaks and just being like, talk about nipping it in the bud.
Yeah,
that was just, I mean, it's great. I like whoever came up with the idea and then whoever greenlit it, because I feel like that's the kind of idea that's been shot down before. And they're like, whatever, just put out the render, put out the photo.
We're doing it live.
Yeah, I love it. It was just great. It reminds me of something our friends over at OnePlus would do, except that it's time for us to reset it's been X number of days since OnePlus screwed up clock, which I feel like it's been a long time. They've been doing really hundreds of days. Like, we've been all right, but we can reset the OnePlus marketing screw-up clock thanks to an app called Shot on OnePlus, which came pre-installed on devices and was found via the wallpapers menu. Users who shared wallpapers with other users with this app inadvertently share their email addresses through in the app via the API. OnePlus has since modified the API to stop leaking email addresses, and I feel like leaking email addresses is a mistake. This clearly sounds like a bug. Like someone didn't.
Yes.
Like this is just a fault on the app side, and it's a screw up nonetheless. But it's embarrassing. But I doubt it's not like it was like, I don't know. But still, it was leaking email addresses. But they fixed it, so now it's going to stop. So that's fine. So we can reset the clock. But to counteract the bad publicity of that, I don't know if they're related, but they pushed out an update to the OnePlus 7 Pro that focuses on improving the triple camera performance. And according to the changelog, it improves overall contrast and color performance, white balance consistency between the triple cameras, accuracy and stability of autofocus, and more. So Ray, you were interested in this update. What do you make of it? Yeah. Did it have an impact to the photos you took with the OnePlus 7?
I definitely see a lot of differences in the kind of photos that the new update has it fixed. So like you said, there's more contrast, there's more dynamic range, better low light performance, less of that crunchiness and kind of image smoothing that's happening during like low light situations. One thing is like OnePlus, they always launch a phone and the camera's always kind of like and then like a month later they release this update that fixes a lot of this stuff, and I just don't understand why they can't get it right, like out of the factory, during development. Like they know that the camera is always going to be the point that people are going to be talking about, and they still can't get it right. And that's kind of disappointing because, I don't know if I can redo my review. I can do a separate story on like, these camera comparisons, but like the original camera comparisons are out there. They're permanently there on YouTube. It's hard to correct, and it's hard to get that message out to users that, this new software update has magically fixed all the image quality problems,
You can't submit a first draft for launch.
Twice.
It needs to be the final draft.
Yeah, you can't. Yeah, you can't release it twice, or you get one shot at releasing it.
Yeah, but you can't just release it and say, "But I'll edit it later. I'll take care of everything later. Don't worry. This is just the first draft."
But that said, I used the OnePlus 6 and then the OnePlus 6T, and now I'm on the OnePlus 7 Pro, and I've gotten better photos on these phones than I have in for years of previous phones of
also
having.
True.
Even when I was on the Pixel, and then before that I was on the Motorola. I've taken photos that literally people have been like, "What is your camera? Like, what phone do you have?" Right. They've reacted positively. Admittedly, not a lot of low light, not a lot of these kind of issues they run into. But the OnePlus 7, I've gone to a couple shows, took pictures of bands, and was able to get decent pictures out of it. So while I hear you that like, why can't they get it right in the first try? I do feel like the bar. I've been impressed with the camera on the last couple of phones on OnePlus, even these updates aside. So
yeah, we're at the point with smartphone cameras right now where we seek perfection because they've just all gotten that good, and so now it's those little differences.
Well, the Pixel got that good.
Yeah, well, the Pixel, and once you get used to a really great camera, it's hard to transition over to something else. But you're seeing a market improvement in the picture.
I'm seeing a market improvement. Yeah. I mean, it's good that they can continuously improve this through software updates. I just don't know if buyers reading reviews, how many reviews get updated for this
totally. Yeah, that's a good point.
Very few, right?
Not many.
So I mean, you're going to read a review, you're going to read my review, and you're going to be like, oh man, the camera is like okay, but not great. And until you read a secondary review, how many people read a second review on that?
Never. Yeah. That's a good point.
Then at the same time, there's probably a lot of people going into a carrier store and going, "Oh, hey, there's a phone that looks cool. Sure, I'll take it." And they don't even know. They didn't even read a single review. So the carrier placement.
Ultimately, I don't think it'll really matter because think about where we're looking at these photos. We're looking at them on Instagram, on Twitter. They're so compressed, like it doesn't even matter, And I think for us as reviewers, that we kind of have to grade it accordingly because people are just not looking at them at full screen, They're not looking at them in full bleed. And, for me, I've definitely had to readjust my expectations and kind of how I grade these cameras just because, everyone's posting on Instagram stories or everybody's posting on Snapchat, you have to kind of view it through that lens.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, there aren't a whole lot of people. Well, maybe there are, but I don't have a whole lot of experience of taking pictures off of my camera roll and blowing up a gigantic poster-sized image of it, or whatever, to really scrutinize.
No, if you were that kind of person, you'd probably have a camera dedicated to doing that, not your phone.
And to Ray's point, it is really interesting to think about how people are using the phones because I have noticed software-based quality changes based on the app I'm using. Where if I'm going to post Instagram stories using the Instagram camera, I get better photos if I use the camera app that came with the phone and then upload it to Instagram versus using the Instagram camera. The WhatsApp camera app takes significantly darker photos than the regular camera app. Right. And so it's regular users just think it's the camera. They don't realize there's software on the app level that is changing the quality of their photos.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
By the way,
yes.
Just a side note. I love the photos the Pixel 3 takes so much that I shoot all of my social media content with the camera app first, and then I upload it into the social media app. Specifically because I want all the quality and all the modes.
Mm-hmm.
Just a side.
That makes sense. I mean, that's a good strategy. Although they are
click.
making changes to the camera APIs so that other apps can insert in and get the similar quality. But
I know, but it's just,
how do you know?
yeah, it's like using Hulu through Yahoo, and we all saw how that worked out. Yahoo's now closing it. For those who don't know what I'm talking about. Anyway,
we almost all know what you're talking about. Speaking of cameras, Ray, you had a post on camera bumps, which apparently, well, what do you have against camera bumps?
it's a hot new trend.
I mean, that story was kind of born out of the Pixel 4 leak. So, you know, it's just an observation, you know, which phone has kind of the prettiest camera bump. I think camera bumps are hideous. They're ugly, but it's a new reality. And, you know, every phone is kind of taking a different approach. And I think we're going to start to see a lot more of these square-shaped ones. The Pixel 4 has been, as we just said, confirmed, and then the iPhone has it. It's become this conversation of who has the prettiest camera bump again, you know? And I think that's kind of maybe one of the reasons why Google confirmed the Pixel 4, because look at their bump compared to the iPhone or the rumored iPhone 10s or 10R. Yeah. And the conversation is now around these bumps, you know?
And now we're at a square bump. Now we've got a square instead of a long rectangular
it's
bump.
like the brake lights on a car.
Yeah, right. You know, on one hand it's kind of ugly, on another hand it's just kind of interesting. Like visually, to me, it's aesthetically interesting. I find the square to be a little bit more interesting than the long bar. The long bar
is the Apple move.
Yeah. I mean, Apple's design has such a big influence on the rest of the industry, right? When they do something, everyone else copies. So it's like kind of like Apple's doing the square, Google's going to copy it, or everyone else is going to, OnePlus is probably going to copy it next year or whatever. Nobody really has their own identity anymore. And so I think Google was pretty smart to jump ahead. And now it's become this thing where it's like, okay, they were first, you know?
Yeah, right.
So it's gonna look like Apple copied them, to be honest.
Well, people are still going to attribute it to Apple though because of the rumors, even though it was only just rumors. But that's just the way it goes, and Google just has to accept the fact that Apple's still going to get the credit. What do you have against the cluster of cameras on the Nokia 9 PureView though? Really?
I mean, it's it kind of freaks me out. It looks like a spider.
It's spider eyes.
It's a little weird, yeah. But there's no bump there, right? Like that's flat glass.
I mean, it's second to last.
I see. So up at the top is like the biggest bumps, and down to the bottom. Yeah. I see what you mean.
So I mean, that one's fine. It's just, you know, there are too many cameras over there, and the camera sucks. But yeah, I want to see more phones like, you know, the Essential phone had no bump, but that was an old device. The LG G8, I was pleasantly surprised to see that it didn't have a camera bump. Like, you know, that's a pretty capable camera. And if they can squeeze that type of camera into a body that's not really much thicker than a Note or OnePlus, I don't see why other companies can't.
Yeah, I guess that's really the question, right? Because when you think of what a bump is, why it exists in the first place, some of these lenses, they need depth in order to do the things that they're doing. So it's incumbent on the manufacturer to design a phone that either inserts that depth within the body of the device, or, and as we've seen a lot of cases, they extend out a little bit. And maybe there's a little bit of precedent around that, or there's definitely precedent around that just in the standard camera, you know, industry of having, you know, a lens that protrudes. And so there's history there. But yeah, it is nice on a phone when it's just perfectly slick. But then you have to worry, if it's all glass, of it just falling off the table slowly over time, because the glass surface, you know, just kind of slips off.
I got to tell you, the number of times my OnePlus 7 slides off whatever I put it on, it's to the point now where I put it on top of something that's rubber that's got like some grip to it, so it doesn't slide. Yeah.
What were you gonna say, Ray?
I mean, at what point does the entire back just become, you know, cameras? You know?
I know. I'm wondering that myself. And what does that enable?
Sensors.
What does that enable exactly? We'll have a camera for everything.
It'll be very interesting for sure.
It will be. Maybe there won't be cameras. Maybe there'll be three-dimensional projectors project
lasers,
the UI into the
weapery.
the air.
I'm all for it. I'm all for it.
Yes, I'm speaking Ron's language right now.
I'll take it.
Love it.
Twisted metal smartphone.
Oh, wow.
Love it. All right, Ron, take us to the first ad.
Yeah, so we want to thank WordPress for sponsoring this episode of All About Android. And WordPress is asking an important question. What would you do if you could do anything? Well, now you can build a website that can with WordPress.com. With powerful site building tools, thousands of themes, and 24/7 support from real experts, WordPress.com lets anyone pursue whatever it is they love by launching a site that's free to start with room to grow. WordPress.com was started so anyone can publish their ideas. No 2-week trials, no hidden fees, and WordPress users own their content forever. WordPress.com is built to grow with you, to get you where you want to be tomorrow. Their customer support team is made of actual WordPress experts who are standing by to help you 24 hours a day, including weekends, which is so important. The WordPress platform is so flexible and powerful that some of the biggest companies on earth use it to build their websites, and millions of people use WordPress.com every day to turn their dreams into reality. And I've told you all before how I've used WordPress a lot. All my podcast websites, when I spin them up, I use WordPress. But I was delighted this weekend when my 16-year-old niece sent me a link to her new book review blog, and sure enough, it was on WordPress. And I said, hey, I know WordPress. If you ever need any help, let me know. And she was so excited because she's getting into the world of blogging and website stuff. And she started at WordPress, starting off on the right foot. And I can help her because WordPress is so easy to use. And it's easy enough that a teenager can do it. That's how great WordPress is. So WordPress.com is where you want to go. In fact, go to WordPress.com/allaboutandroid for 15% off any new plan purchase. That's WordPress.com/allaboutandroid for 15% off your new website. WordPress.com/allaboutandroid. And we thank WordPress for their support and helping my niece make her dreams come true by allowing her to write book reviews on the internet anonymously. Thanks, WordPress.
Thank you, WordPress. That's awesome. I love that story.
Yeah, it's great. It's so exciting. And when I showed her one of my websites, I was like, yeah, this is running WordPress, and her eyes lit up. And I showed her the dashboard, and it was.
You were like, you could have this have.
Yes, yeah.
Someday you may have.
You've taken your first step into a greater world.
Management system.
That's right. We're going to have an important conversation about CMS today. All right, and let's get into some hardware news. All right, Flo, you got the first one.
So this is pretty exciting, especially for me personally, because I've been having some troubles with my Mi Box, and whenever I have a trouble with it, I think, what would my life be like if I had an Nvidia Shield? And I might have the chance to buy a totally new one, because apparently it looks like there's a new Nvidia Shield TV coming in the future. Ooh. So there's an updated Shield TV that appeared in the Google Play developer console. It was codenamed, get this, M. Darcy. Now the current model is codenamed Darcy. So just has an M in front of it. It's running Android 9 Pie. It's got the same Tegra X1 T210 SoC listed, but it's likely that it's just a placeholder for something that's coming up, although people are still using this thing. I mean, it's going on 4 years old now. And
I'm using it. I love it. It's fantastic.
Modding it. They're still using it as their TV portal. It's also possible that we'll get a GPU upgrade, or rather a higher GPU clock speed in the next one, so we could do some real hardcore gaming. Possible new remote and controller to release at the same time as the new system. Again, that 2015 Shield TV is still alive and kicking. People are still using it. And I'm even thinking, before I knew that this was a refresh that maybe would be coming out, I was even thinking, should I just go buy the old thing?
I know, and now you hear this, and you're like, do I buy it? I mean, it's still fantastic.
Here's a question. As we consider devices for the Android Hall of Fame to go alongside the greatest phone of all time, the Nexus 5, which had a camera bump, mind you.
Yes, it did.
A big one.
It did.
Yeah.
A big one. It was a big one. It was one of the earliest ones too, but it still was one of the greatest phones of all time. Could we nominate the Nvidia Shield for entry into the Android Hall of Fame as one of the most durable and used and loved products? I think we might.
Constantly updated. Yeah. This sucker is still updated, and it came out in
carrying the flag for Android TV this long.
Absolutely. I don't even know another set-top box that has lasted that long, and is,
I think
like you said, constantly updated.
Yep.
Wait, do we have a quorum here? Did we just put the Nvidia Shield TV into the Android Hall of Fame? I think we did.
I think without a doubt, and especially if Android TV or just TV with Android, so that would include, what was it, Google TV before it or whatever. Yeah. If it's that whole category, what device would end up there? I would say that this device, hands down, would be at the top of that list. It's just it's too beloved. It's awesomely supported still. It's kind of crazy, and as you use it, you don't find yourself going, man, this thing's old. Like, look at it slow down. Like, it still operates as if it were brand new. Like, it's kind of crazy how good it is still.
Versus the Xiaomi Mi Box, which constantly crashes in the middle of watching something.
Oh,
do you know
really?
how frustrating it was to have Game of Thrones crash the last couple of episodes?
I'm sure.
Like,
very
you just have
frustrating.
Android TV, it would just go black. And I would think it was a new scene, and then I would just see the startup logo for Android TV, and I'm like, oh, it crashed.
Yep.
Great.
Well, so let's celebrate the entry of the Shield TV into the Hall of Fame. Now we've got 2 devices in there. I'm excited.
Nexus 5 and the
5,
Shield.
and then
Nvidia Shield TV.
I think it's justified.
Yeah, I think it's justified. The Shield TV is a really great, and I probably said it before, it's a really great emulation box. If you're looking for emulation of classic consoles, you can do a lot of emulation on the Shield TV,
not so
and it's
good on the
really
Xiaomi.
easy. Oh, okay.
I'll tell you that one. N64 games don't work on it.
Oh, okay. N64 games rock on the Shield TV. Not all of them, which is
that's what
just
I
kind
read
of
in the
part
forums, Jason.
Just part of the it's part of the N64's kind of complex architecture, from what I understand, makes some of the games harder to do on older devices, but it does great.
It sounds like Flo chose poorly when you chose your set-top box.
But that one was $40 on sale.
The price is big difference. There's big difference, and it lasted you a couple of years, right?
Yeah.
I've only had it since Christmas.
Oh, never mind.
All right, well.
Opposite. It only lasts you a couple of months, right?
It still works. It's just, it's not the Nvidia Shield TV.
Yeah. Well, you won't have to wait much longer, it sounds like. So.
Yeah. Very cool.
All right, Rob.
So moving on from set-top boxes, you might remember earlier this year we had the guys from Palm on the show to talk about the very tiny, tiny, tiny phone that was a companion phone. And now they've announced that Palm is now opening it up to not be a companion phone and not just be locked into Verizon. Pre-orders opened up today for an unlocked version of the Palm. So if you want that tiny, tiny phone to be your primary phone, and you're an AT&T, T-Mobile, or Metro, no mention of Sprint, by the way, you could use this Palm. It's being opened up to work as a standalone device for $350, and it's going to be shipping in 6 to 8 weeks. So if you want the tiny, tiny Palm phone as your primary phone, now's the time. Pre-order, get on board. And this is funny because that was my first question when I met with those guys, even before they were on the show. And they swore me to secrecy, and they said, we're working on it. It's coming soon. And now it just took this long, and now we can. And my wife literally texted me, because she's watching, saying, can I get the tiny phone? Because she loved the concept of a tiny phone. So so now your dream can come true. So
your dream can come
special niche
true for $350, which is a little pricey for. What do you think, Ray?
Yeah, I think it's too expensive. If this thing was like, I don't know, $100 or less, definitely, maybe. But also, this device is terrible. The battery life is awful. I was actually just using it the other day during a run, and 30% battery dead in like 15 minutes.
What?
I mean, it's bad. It's not good.
That's a bummer.
Wow.
I mean,
well, in their defense, because they are good guys, it's so small. I can't imagine the battery in there is very large. So
then that's a design issue.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the whole point. You're not supposed to use a phone. So as a companion device, you take it out. Maybe you go downstairs, buy groceries or something. You're not supposed to use it too much. The whole point is to not to use it.
Right. We're going to make it so poorly that you don't want to use it.
Yeah.
You'll never use it because every time you try, it doesn't work. Not true about the Palm phone. I'm just saying, if the battery hardly lasts, yeah, right. Why would you ever use it?
It's tough to be a daily driver if you're going to leave the house and you need it to work on your commute and through the whole day of work and stuff like that. But if you live a lifestyle where you only need it in 10-minute bursts or 5-minute bursts, then maybe it's for you.
Sure. Sure. Maybe it's for somebody out there. Well,
I can tell you what though, Ray. Ray, it doesn't have a camera bump.
It does. It does.
Oh wait, it does. You're right.
It does. It has an iPhone-esque camera bump.
Look, Ray knows everything about camera bumps. Okay, don't try and get this past him.
Now our camera bump expert.
Yeah. You didn't include that on your list.
I didn't. I forgot about it. Yeah.
Well, we have another article from you in here. You wrote about Samsung's next big thing. Literally, its biggest phone every year is the Note series, the Note 10, and you did a little roundup of kind of everything. You say everything we know about Samsung's Galaxy Note 10 so far. So I guess this is a culmination of all of the rumors and stuff. When does the Note usually go on sale? Is that usually August, somewhere around there?
It's somewhere around the end of August. There was one year, I think, maybe that was the Note 7, that it came right around the iPhone, and that just didn't work out so well, other than the fact that it exploded. But it should be coming out right around mid to end of August.
Okay.
So right around IFA, I would say.
And this time, like the strategy, the OnePlus strategy of having a OnePlus 7 and then also having a 7 Pro, that's kind of happening with the Note this time, right? We're used to one device representing the Note family, but that's changing supposedly.
Yeah, that's what the leaks suggest so far. I mean, that could really change. I mean, OnePlus did their OnePlus 7 and 7 Pro, but the 7 Pro was only available in the US and not the 7. So select markets. So I don't know if this is kind of a play for different regions, the Note 10 and Note 10 Pro. But, they've always been about choice and different screen sizes, maybe too many, I think. But yeah, it could be an interesting strategy this year.
No headphone jack, a centered Infinity O cutout for the camera, which of all the cutouts, that's my favorite. Would be the hole punch. At this point, I think that's the one that I would prefer. Although the teardrop is okay, but I don't know. Do you have a preference? I know how you feel about camera bumps. How do you feel about cutouts?
I kind of like the teardrop, to be honest. I really like the 6T's tiny little notch, and I didn't think it was a big issue. I mean, this Note 10, assuming the concepts and renders are accurate, and it's coming from this guy, Steve Hemmerstoffer. I don't know. Hemmerstoffer, McFly. He's pretty solid. So
yeah, he is.
I don't know. This phone from the back and even from the front, it kind of looks like a Huawei phone. And it seems like Samsung's definitely trying to court users who might be buying a Huawei phone. But now that Huawei is kind of in deep trouble, I should say.
To say the least,
Dunzo?
I think, maybe they have a chance at, swaying those guys over.
Yeah, absolutely. And then a quad camera system, a bigger curved display. I think I saw on Twitter earlier today a display leak or something showing
Screen
the two different sizes.
Yeah, there's supposed to be two different sizes, one smaller one and one larger one. So the Note series has always gone larger. It's always been bigger than the kind of whatever S Plus model. And it's going to be weird if they announce a smaller Note, because that's the whole point of a Note, right? To have a bigger screen to accommodate the S Pen.
Huh. Or they could just go extra large, have the normal size and then just a huge one. Who the heck knows where that will end up. And then possibly the removal of a Bixby button on one of them, which would be horrible because everybody uses that Bixby button for Bixby especially.
To me, that sounds like the biggest news. That's what they should lead with. We took away the button. No more will you accidentally bring it up.
Oh, man.
I mean, that's just a mic drop right there.
Yeah. I think I only ever accidentally brought it up. Outside of the time where I was trying to use it because I wanted to get used to it and understand it. And then when I was just using the phone the way I would normally, which has nothing to do with Bixby, it would come up automatically by accident. So
I want to find. There's got to be like a Bixby loyalist user group.
There totally must be.
There's got to be like a message board or something out there of like people we love Bixby and like all the great things you could do with Bixby, and maybe it's in Korean. Maybe I won't understand it, but it's I want to believe that Bixby's got fans.
The one guy waiting for the Bixby home.
Yes.
Right. Yes. One of these days, Samsung's going to come through on that promise. The Bixby
The funny
home.
thing is that it's actually actor Bill Bixby who's been sitting waiting for this because he's just so honored that they named it after him. So,
Well,
and then they played the sad Hulk music.
BixbyFans.com is not an actual site. So whoever that person is, buy up that URL.
I was going to say, should we buy it?
You can differentiate yourself a little bit from the crowd, a crowd of one. All right, let's take a break, and then we'll jump into a few pieces of app news this week. This episode of All About Android is brought to you by Grammarly. I'm a huge fan of Grammarly because I like to, when I write, I like to sound better than I sometimes am. And that's kind of the beauty of Grammarly. It actually improves how you write. It's a communication tool that helps you improve your writing to be mistake-free, clear, and effective. They encourage everyone, even the best students and top professionals, to use Grammarly to do their best work and accomplish even more of their goals. Grammarly is a writing assistant that makes you look and sound smarter. It's just kind of running in the background. You kind of forget about it until you see the little red squiggly line and you hover over it, and it gives you the tip as far as how you can improve in a number of different ways. You can improve yourself in your communication at school, work, almost everywhere, of course, with Grammarly. They help people show their best self through writing. They're available across platforms, so you can get it in your online browser extension, desktop editor, mobile keyboard checker. Grammarly is also available on multiple browsers, so Chrome, Firefox, Safari, Edge, and platforms, iOS, Android, Windows, and Mac. And their free product reviews critical spelling and grammar, but there's also Grammarly Premium that looks out for spelling, grammar, plus advanced punctuation, structure, style within context, vocabulary suggestions, conciseness, and readability for different occasions. So you might write differently for a business proposal versus an academic essay versus a casual blog post, that sort of thing. So it'll help you accomplish your goals because you're getting this help kind of streamed to you from Grammarly. You'll stop making those email typos on your phone, which I'm very good at. Close more deals at work with your emails that are, that portray your best self. And so people might be willing to open up their pocketbooks a little bit easier when they know who they're dealing with on the other side. And you can maybe even use it to polish up your resume and get a new job. Tons of benefits. Grammarly and Grammarly Premium are awesome to use, and like I said, it's just really easy. It kind of sits in the background and it's working for you, and once it has that suggestion, it appears for you. And I don't know, I found over time, grammar issues that I might have in my writing repeatedly, eventually, it suggests those changes enough that it starts to finally sink in, and I don't need Grammarly to help me on that particular thing anymore because I've learned it. So go to Grammarly.com/Android. You'll get 20% off your Grammarly Premium account today. That's Grammarly.com/Android for 20% off your Grammarly Premium account. Grammarly.com/Android, and we thank Grammarly for their support of this show. And now, just a couple of things in the apps segment that we'll get to right now.
It's always nice to have some apps that aren't Google apps.
I'm telling you, though, apps and app news is hard to come by these days.
Listen, when we started this show, how many years ago was it now?
8, 9.
9. Oh, my Jesus Christ. We've been doing this for 10 years, Jason?
Well, we started in 2012. 2012 was our first episode.
Okay, all right. So,
it's
7 years.
7. Okay, sorry, I overshot.
7 years. Not quite 10 years, but still 7 years ago, it was like apps. All the time we were talking about new apps, and now not so much.
Yeah. I mean, it's really slowed down. Well, and also what I wonder is maybe it hasn't slowed down. It's just there's so many, right? And at this point, we're just all used to the apps that we use. And so it's kind of hard to be wowed by them anymore.
And nothing really punctuates that more than having to pick a new app to enter into the arena once a week.
Well,
because I'll
there
tell you, that is getting harder and harder.
It is. It's really hard. It's very difficult. All right, Flo, that's our build up for these amazing app news bits that we have picked for you today.
So I'm going to lead us in by saying the other interesting thing to note about the Play Store is that these days a lot of the big name apps come from big name companies.
Yeah.
So it's not just small timers, one of whom is Nintendo. Perhaps you've heard of them. They make games.
Once or twice.
So Nintendo's already sort of taken over the Android world. They have Animal Crossing, Pocket Camp. They have a couple Pokemon games that are out right now. And coming soon is Dr. Mario World. That's coming to Android beginning July 10th. It's free to play like a lot of Nintendo's existing Android titles and iOS titles. There will be currency diamonds, which cost money and can be used for items, stamina, and new skills instead of waiting for the game to kind of, go forward.
Oh, joy.
The whole freemium model that we have going on with mobile games these days. We'll also include an online versus play mode. Jason, you were part of the closed beta for Mario Kart Tour. What was that like?
It's fun. I personally, I thought it was fun. Like the kind of downside is that Nintendo tried with Super Mario Run, tried to do the pay for it once up front and own the game with no, in-app purchase opportunities throughout, right? And it cost $10 and people thought that was too expensive and it kind of flopped from that perspective. And so now Nintendo is totally bought into what everyone else that's making games for mobile is doing, which is, like you said, the freemium model, free to download. But you can go a lot faster by buying these upgrades or whatever, and so that's just how Nintendo does on mobile now. So this Dr. Mario World is no different. Mario Kart Tour, very similar, although in the closed beta they didn't have any of the microtransactions opened, right? Because it was kind of a closed beta to test the gameplay and everything like that. So there was no opportunity or no moment where I was like, dang, I feel like I need to buy this microtransaction in order to move forward, which is, by the way, something I never do in mobile games. I just don't buy in-app purchases. I'm apparently one of the few that don't. So from that perspective, I actually really enjoyed the game. I thought it was a lot of fun. I guarantee you when it comes out, though, that it's going to have enough of these like microtransaction hooks in it, and you could kind of see pieces of it in playing it on mobile, that it's going to probably be a little annoying. But the gameplay itself was really cool. It had all the levels from all the different versions of Mario Kart that you've played on all the different systems that you could open up. It was basically like, here's our entire catalog. I don't know if it's every one of them, but it was most of them, of courses, and but played with a different Mario Kart mechanic that really only requires one finger. And I thought it was fun. Like I actually played it a lot, and then the beta was done, and I was bummed.
So as an ample player of Animal Crossing Pocket Camp, of which I've probably spent at least thousands of dollars on Leaf tickets, which is, ridiculous.
Wait a minute, you spent thousands of dollars on Animal Crossing? Really?
Probably.
Wow. Really?
Probably. Because they come up, I do my taxes now, line by line. And I could see all of the Google Play purchases for Nintendo. And we've been complaining about this in the Animal Crossing community on the internet because we feel like we can't get anything done without buying Leaf tickets with money, so we can get like the furniture and the stuff that we want. Because Animal Crossing, it's all about like building a virtual world to escape the real one. Unfortunately, Nintendo has this thing where, I'm giving it a lot of money because it's Nintendo. I'm a huge fan of the franchise. They also have kind of created an ecosystem around their games, so you can you collect points and you can redeem them for like free stuff, like wallpapers or strategy guides or whatever. So it's supposed to be this little, like a mobile version of its console world, except that you're constantly paying into it to really like reap the benefits. So I hope that it doesn't become like that for everyone who's trying to get a Nintendo game on their mobile phone. But I'm sure that this will entice a lot of people. It's Dr. Mario.
Yeah,
one of the hardest puzzle games I've ever played.
I mean, it'll be effectively enticing for Dr. Mario. It'll be effectively enticing for Mario Kart. It's just it's a method that works in mobile gaming. Love it or hate it.
They have to monetize somehow.
It works.
Yeah, they do.
Like,
you're right.
like Nintendo's a great company, but they're not here by the grace of their heart to give you free games. Like
it's true.
And we've created a world where charging charging $2.99, $7.99, $19.99 for a mobile game. People just won't do.
Yeah.
So
right. I mean, the Mario Run was $10, and because that failed, this is where we are. What do you think, Ray?
Man, it just feels so un-Nintendo. Like it's not the Nintendo way. And I feel like I read an article recently that's somebody at Nintendo said that they should design mobile games that have less in-app purchases, or they like kind of rejected some concepts because it just had too many of them.
Mm-hmm.
But like you said, they tried Mario Run. It was $10. It was too expensive, and now they're just kind of following the trends that work on mobile. And it sucks because there are so many people who just they're so addicted to the game that they will pay to play. And I'm not one of those people. I kind of don't want to. I know what the true cost of these games is, but there are a lot of younger people who just don't. But I think it's smart. It's a smart business plan, especially trying to get people to maybe go purchase their other consoles and stuff.
Right, a good kind of like a way to get them in on the franchise, and then maybe go and get the Switch or whatever. But I mean, whenever I think about this, I have to remind myself, like, I don't find value in in-app purchases within games, which is not to say that I don't buy in-app purchases in other things like productivity apps that unlock like a pro version or whatever. Absolutely, I do that. I don't find personal value in spending $10 to get a bunch of gems inside of a game, but that's me. Like, what I have to remind myself is there's a lot of people that do. Like, and Flo, I mean, right? Like, on one hand, like, I heard you say that, and I'm like, oh my goodness, and I want to go to that like judgy place of like, why would you do that? But then you get something out of that. You get enjoyment of the game. You're building something that's creative and customized to your liking, and you wouldn't. I think I know you well enough to know that you wouldn't spend that money if you didn't value it in some way within that game environment.
And I knew that I could spend that. Again, I don't have children yet, so I can be kind of ridiculous like this with money. But it's also just, Nintendo has created such large communities around its franchises, and you really get sucked into the fandom of it all. And you guys know me, I'm a big fan of stuff. Like, I carry it to the grave. Yeah. So it's easy to justify that purchase to yourself because you're like, well, I'm a huge fan of this franchise and it's making me happy. So I got paid this Friday, so why not drop $12.99 on a bunch of Leaf tickets? Why not?
What am I going to do with those Leaf tickets? I can't wait.
I usually buy stuff.
It's funny though, because I was doing some reading online and I saw some reports and stuff. I had some data going into mobile games, and a lot of these in-app purchases. It's fascinating that you'll see that 80% of the or like 80% or north of 80% of the revenue from these games is derived from 10% of the users.
Oh yeah. I'm not surprised.
Right. So what you have is what you have is a total, dedicated diehard people who just want more, want to get everything, want to keep going, all this stuff like that. And then you have a huge population of people who just kind of come in, check it out, and leave. And as long as that revenue is coming in, it's hard to say no. And I love the thought that Nintendo is better than this, but they're not. This is the marketplace, and we're saying like, oh, this isn't very Nintendo, whatever. But like, I remember spending $80 for Super Nintendo games. They were not cheap. So it's
they're still not.
What goes around comes around. So
they're still $60 a pop.
But hey, I'll tell you what is free: an app draw. All you need to do is add it.
Nice transition.
Xiaomi's finally found this. Listen, there are a few things in this life that are free, and app draw is one of them. So the MIUI has traditionally not offered an app draw on Xiaomi devices, except for the Poco F1, which used a different Poco launcher. But the latest alpha of the MIUI launcher shows an app drawer inside of it. Tapping the middle button in the app bar shows the app drawer. Swiping up apparently doesn't pull up the app drawer. No app drawer is reminiscent of the iOS approach. And how many times can I say the word draw in one story? So there it is.
7, 8,
7.
Yeah.
I just don't understand. I of course they're finally getting to it. How can you have an OS without an app drawer? I mean, I don't know.
Well, I mean, I feel like MIUI for the longest time, and and it's been a while since I used it. Way back, what was that Xiaomi phone that I got like years ago? I wonder where it is. I doubt I got rid of it, but anyways, it had MIUI, the MIUI OS on it, and I remember at the time it was, Xiaomi just wants their phones to be all like iPhones because they don't have an app drawer. They just have all their icons on the home screen, and some of the Android forks choose to do that, and Xiaomi was very dedicated to that. So MIUI actually having an app drawer shows a big shift in their long-term strategy of how they customize their Android skin. So kind of a big deal. Now, Ray, you do sit on both sides of the fence here. You've got your iPhone in one pocket. You've got your Android device in the other pocket. What do you prefer? Do you prefer having an app drawer, or do you prefer it all laid out on a home screen? Preference?
I'm going to say I prefer having an app drawer. I try to have as few home screens as possible. And then, I have I think I have 3 on iPhone, and then the last page is just folders with, lots of apps inside of them.
Yeah.
So I actually would like a cleaner experience. That's one thing I wish Apple would copy maybe from Android. So yeah, having this is kind of a nice welcoming touch.
Yeah. Stepping into 2019. Well, welcome, Xiaomi. It's good
almost
to have
2020.
You. Yeah. All right, we have an email from Al from San Antonio who says, "Hey, AAA crew, and maybe even some guests." You would be right, Al. He says, "I have a question about notification settings. I have a Pixel 3 XL on stock Android 9. I want basically all of my notifications to vibrate only, no sound. I want a very few, Ring doorbell for one, to play an audible notification. It seems like I can add vibration to a notification that already plays a sound, and I can also set that sound to none, but this likely means I'll have to set each notification separately in this fashion. I was hoping your team could provide a better solution that would make setting this up a bit easier." I was trying to think around this, and I couldn't figure out. I swear we've had apps that allow for customization around this. So before I read what I wrote down here, is anything springing to mind for anyone here? Like from the history, the catacombs of all about Android.
I just noticed the Android Q beta, for some reason, even when my phone is on DND or on silent, I'm still getting rings for certain things. So I'm probably not a good person to answer this question.
Okay, I might actually have an answer for that. I don't know how to break apart the logic of what you just said specifically, but I think it might be related to this. So
yeah, that's kind of why I brought it up, because I was wondering if maybe.
Cool. So I'm assuming, Al, that you are not running the Android Q beta. So if you are not, this does not pertain to you yet, but you are on Pixel 3 XL, which means in a couple of months you will get Android Q because they will update it and you'll get it immediately. So you've got this to look forward to. Android Q right now has something called prioritized and gentle notifications. If you set an app, so you go in and you take an app and you say, let's say Ring, for example, you set that to prioritized. What that will do is it will activate the sound on notifications for that app, and it will give a status bar icon as well as show up on your lock screen when those notifications come through. If you set an app to gentle, so these would be the apps that you don't want necessarily for those sounds to come through, that'll be notifications only in the pull-down shade, always silent. So I'm thinking that if we don't have a solution for you now, you only have to wait a couple of more months, and then you can set Ring to prioritized, set the things you don't want to gentle, and this might actually solve your problem. But that just doesn't give you a solution right now, unless you're willing to run with the beta, which, I mean, it's not a horrible solution, but you'll encounter
like running
bugs.
with the wolves.
Yeah.
Running with the beta.
Running with with the beta. We have a title.
Yep, there it is.
Yes, we do.
Running with the beta. Running with the beta. Okay. So anyways, I think that might tie into what you're talking about, Flo, right? Like maybe you have some of them
Possibly.
as prioritized and some, but I don't know why do not disturb or mode isn't blocking all sound. Maybe this overrides that. Oh, I don't know.
I don't know. I'm just waiting for the phone to be stable again.
Yeah. I mean, I find the Q beta.
I'll live with it.
This is beta 4 that I'm on right now, and I find it to be pretty stable. For in my interaction with it, it just does weird little things like with the gestures. When I try and go home, it'll do this like quick flash of the app and then go home. It's not buttery. It's not buttery smooth yet. So.
Buttery smooth.
Buttery smooth. Ray, have you had a chance to play around at all with the betas? Do you even venture into that murky world of the Android betas?
I have the Android Q beta. Yeah, I definitely do. I haven't installed the latest version.
Yeah.
So I think you said it's up to 4 now.
I think it's up to 4, if I remember correctly.
So yeah, I mean, I definitely have to try it out just to see what features exist and kind of see how they compare to Apple or iPhone. Yeah.
Yes. So it was June 5th, Android Q Beta 4 and final APIs. Okay. So we're kind of getting into the home stretch here. There's still definitely some kind of jankiness to, smoothing out though.
No, I think we're looking at like an end of July, early August release, right?
Yeah.
Something, I think they said
August, September.
Q3 sometime, if I remember the timeline. So, yeah.
Yep.
But, all right. Cool. So I hope that helps, Al, or at least it will at some point. I wish I had an app to give you right now, but I think if you're on the Pixel, you're going to get Q very soon, and this should hopefully solve your problem. Write us, AAA@twit.tv, and let us know when that happens, if it worked. Let's take a break and thank the sponsor, and then we'll jump into the arena where we feature apps that are really hard to come up with these days. But we do each and every week just for you. We hope that you like them. But before that, let's thank the sponsor. This episode of All About Android is brought to you by Aftershocks. Aftershocks uses a patented bone conduction technology. The headphones don't actually go inside your ear like earbuds that you're used to using, earbuds that maybe hurt or constantly are slipping out of your ear canal. Aftershocks headphones feature unbelievable comfort. They actually rest just outside your ear and produce sound by sending little miniature vibrations through your cheekbones to your inner ear. All of this is bypassing your eardrum, but you don't really know that because it's passing through these vibrations. You hear it crystal clear. It's really kind of amazing the first time that you hear music through this way. Your ears are completely exposed, but you're hearing music mixed in with your environment. It's really, really cool. It has a titanium wraparound headband. It's super lightweight, flexible, and durable, and very portable, actually. You get a little case to put it in to take it wherever you're going. You can enjoy crystal clear phone calls and music, literally like you've never heard before. With Aftershocks. Premium pitch guarantees a premium audio experience with wide dynamic range and also rich bass. They are wireless Bluetooth 4.1 capable. They're convenient multi-point pairing. Also IP55 certified to repel sweat, dust, and moisture. So you can use them in your workouts. You can use them in bad weather and not worry about hurting them. 6 hours of continuous music and calls on a single charge with 10-day standby time. Easy to just charge up. It only takes an hour and a half to charge it up, so just plug it in for a little bit and you're good to go. They have a hassle-free 2-year warranty, and Aftershocks are safer for driving and really any outdoor activities because they allow you to hear what's going on around you. That's the beauty of Aftershocks. So traffic, emergency vehicles, that sort of stuff, or if you're running out, and you want to make sure that you're dialed in to your environment, but you also want to listen to some music while you're running, Aftershocks is perfect for that, or riding your bike. You want to know what surrounds you, and these don't close you out. They include the music or the podcast on top of what you're used to hearing. Order an Aftershocks tech bundle now, which includes Trex Air, a pop socket, large portable storage case, portable power bank, and travel tumbler insulator. You can visit aaa.aftershocks.com. Make sure and use our code AAA at checkout, and you'll get $50 off. Offer valid in the U.S. only. That's aaa.aftershocks.com. And use that code AAA, and we hope that you'll check it out. We thank Aftershocks for their support of All About Android. And now it's time for yet another arena. Let's do it.
So many enter, but only one lives. Android Arena.
Add another 4 apps to our Arena apps list.
Oof.
Just keeps on going. twit.to/AAA poll 424 is where you went last week to place your vote. And it appears that Astrospheric wins with almost 42% of the votes. Thumper Pocket Edition, second place at 32%, and MIUI, there we go, 27%, 26%, right around there.
It was close. It was neck and neck. Yeah, absolutely. I was watching it through the week. It was kind of ebbing and flowing, and I might have come in last, but Jason, I benefited from you being not here.
Yes, I know. You all benefited from me.
I know, yeah. Well, no, we missed you, but still. So after 24 weeks in the arena, Jason, unfortunately, you were in last place with 47 points, but I am not that far ahead of you with 49 points. Our guests, whom Ray is a member of this week, have 65 points, and Flo is sitting in first place at 68 points. So listen, this is Flo's season to lose. Right now, we're all just playing catch up. So.
Yeah, it's true. So that means Flo goes last.
Flo goes last. You go first.
I go first because I was out.
And then
Ron,
I'll
go
second. And then Ray. Yeah, there
second,
we go.
then Ray, then Flo. Right. It's all complex setup, Ray.
It's an algorithm,
It's an algorithm in order for us to make sure that we do this fairly, because the stakes are high.
You can't see in my shot, but I have an entire mainframe system that figured out who goes in what order. I did the punch cards. And
you've got one of those boards with different pictures and lines, like strings that you've pinned to each of them. It's very complicated.
And it keeps ending up on Pepe Sylvia. I don't understand.
All right, I'm going to go first. Letterboxd is the name of my app. If you like movies and you want, well, I guess it's a social network for movie buffs, for movie lovers. So it's Letterboxd, and that's letterbox and then no E, but D. So box and then D. So we'll jump right into it. And I like this a lot. I feel really out of touch with movies these days. So I like any app that I can jump into and really quickly see what this thing is about. Suddenly I hear Flo talking about Detective Pikachu, and I'm like, I gotta know right now what the heck that's all about.
It was really good.
And Flo says that it was really good. But as you can see here, so this is Letterboxd. You get all the information that you're looking for. I really like the design of it. It's just got, I mean, it's kind of simple at first, but, things kind of float into place at times, and everything's just laid out really nicely. But if you want the trailer, you've got a way to get to it right there. It's got a nice readout for the general kind of consensus ratings. Detective Pikachu coming in at 3.2 out of 5 stars. So Flo says it was really good. Some people just kind of thought it was okay. That's kind of what it seems like there. You've got.
They didn't see the heart in it.
They didn't connect with the heart. Is the heart Ryan Reynolds? Is that the heart?
Yes.
Okay. All right. I think I know how you operate. You can see down here reviews. Everybody kind of contributing their personal rating. Also, very detailed list of why they really liked Detective Pikachu, and all of the comments attached to it. Like I said, this is really a social network based around movies. So if you like movies, this is going to be a great way for you to kind of keep connected with other people who like it, kind of follow the conversation around these things. We know Flo likes Ryan Reynolds, so we can tap into him and see all of the movies that he's been a busy guy since he started way back when with My Name is Kate. I don't know how true this is. Was he really involved with Betty White, First Lady of Television? I don't know. Probably not, but maybe. No, actually, there he was. He stars as himself in the Betty White film that we've all seen. And also, you know, you can see like his full bio. He's a producer on these films, a writer. Everything's just, you know, laid out really nice. He's added on 15,000 lists by other users, and if you're a user, you can create lists like movies made this decade that people in the year 2000 wouldn't believe you about if you traveled back in time and ... I really want to know what. Travel back in time and put everything in context. Okay, there you go. You have a list of movies that fall into that category. Good to know. And 113 comments. A lot of activity in this social network. So very cool. You've got 16,000 reviews, 17,000 likes, and 61,000 people have said that they've watched this. And that's just Detective Pikachu. There's also Striking Vipers, which was one of the episodes of the new Black Mirror season, which I highly recommend you watch. Big fan of Black Mirror. So you do have movies in here that are in the theater, but also movies that are made for, in that case, Netflix and more. And yeah, see, and I think I already showed you lists. So this is called Letterboxd. So if you're a movie fan, you can find the list created by Hungcat about the dreamy film gaze and so much more.
Wow.
Yeah. It's called Letterboxd, and it is free, a social network based around films and movies, and I think you'll like it. All right. Ron, I have your app installed, and I'm very interested to see how this goes.
It's exciting, isn't it? Well, let's say I'm fascinated by the world of AR, and I've been looking for apps that use AR core. And if you've ever been considering or mulling getting a tattoo, the app Ink Hunter might be the one for you, because it utilizes AR core to allow you to superimpose a tattoo onto your body using AR. So when you open up the app, as Jason just did, actually go back if you can go back. Sorry, you always go. You'll go too fast. So what happens is that in Ink Hunter, there's a bunch of tattoo artists who've submitted art to the app itself. So if you're thinking about getting a tattoo and you don't know kind of what design you want to do and that sort of thing, there's a bunch of stuff that you can look at, and you can also search for things. So Jason, there you did search. So if you want to search for, I don't know, flowers or maybe search for Android. Maybe there'll be Androids. I doubt it.
Maybe,
but
no,
yeah, not so much. But if you want to search for, I searched for Wolverine, and there was actually some Wolverine tattoos in there, which I thought was funny. Yeah. So if you do that, you can see some folks. Cool. There's some tattoo designs, right? Pretty neat. But what you could also do, a lot of people, like if a lot of people when they're thinking about getting a tattoo, they have a tattoo artist do it for themselves. You can actually use your own photos as well. If you tap on the bottom, not on my photos, but on my tattoos, go there. So you can add your tattoo.
Okay.
And from there you can upload files from your gallery.
Okay.
Yeah, so hit allow. You need to give it enabled. Yep. So now you can pick. You can either take a picture of your art or upload it from your gallery. And so once you have your art, you just do that. Yeah. So
it'll be a tattoo of my finger. What do you think?
There you go.
Think that would work? Okay.
So that looks so weird.
It does.
All right. Let's use one from the gallery. This will be too weird, Jason. I'm sorry. I love you, but go to the gallery. So let's choose those cherries there. You like those, right?
All right.
So now here's where the fun thing. So now there's that piece of art, and this is where it gets fun. You hit try. All right. And so now what you can do if you want to use the AR, it tells you to draw a square smile on your arm. So Jason has a pen. He's agreed to do this.
Yeah, it'll never come off. This is basically, I'm giving myself, I don't know whether to do it with a dry erase or a regular pen. I'll just do it with a regular pen. The cap wouldn't come off. Okay, so you got to draw a square smile.
Okay. See how it's doing that? So just draw a heart, there you go. Yeah, there you go. Like that. And this square smile operates as the anchor for the AR. So, yeah.
Oh, okay. So,
all right.
Sorry, I didn't realize it was covered. Okay.
So now that you've done that, you say, I did it. And so then what you do is you line up the square smile, and there it is. It found the anchor, and it shows you the tattoo on your arm. Now, this is great if you want to put it on someone else or have someone point it, like if you want the tattoo on your arm or something like that. But using AR Core, it is mapping it's overlaying the art over that square smile, and that way you get a sense of what the tattoo would look like on you, which is pretty cool.
There it is.
Yeah. So
wow.
And now if you don't want to use AR and don't want to use the square smile, you can tap that little switch in the lower right-hand corner that says AR, and instead it puts the cherry as an overlay, and you can just line it up and take a picture with, to see how it looks and that sort of thing. And then you take a picture of it, and then you have an idea of what you'll look like with that tattoo before you get it. And that can help you make the decision as to if you want the tattoo. And once you take a picture of it, you can resize if you want to change the, the size of the tattoo or the placement or the orientation or whatever it might be. And you can save it. And it's a good way to show, like, if you want to show your artist what you really want, what kind of how you want it to look or whatever. It's a great way to kind of demo or test a tattoo. So there you go.
That's so cool.
Ink Hunter.
So do you think I should get this cherry tattoo on my?
I do think you should get the cherry tattoo. I think it's a good idea.
I mean, if we're going to do this app review, we better go all the way, right? And you got some filters and stuff, right?
Yeah, you can play with it a little, all the usual kind of app stuff.
Okay, you can blur it out.
Yeah.
Challenge my tattoo artist with it. Make the tattoo instantly look 5 years old. That's really cool. It's called Ink Hunter. And,
free in the Google Play Store.
Free in the Google Play Store.
And Jason, thank you for sacrificing your arm for your square.
You're so welcome. I'm never going to get this off, ever. Yeah. It's never going to come off. Yeah.
Current mood.
All right. Maybe people will actually think this is a tattoo on my arm. I just like line faces.
I'm super into AR, right?
Yeah. I'm a big fan of Ink Hunter, so I gave myself a tattoo of the AR target so that I never had to draw it on my arm again. It's just always there. Okay, Ray, I have your app installed, and it's a game that I've played many times, and it's never been in the arena before. So you've done that thing where you pick something. All right. I think people would assume that it had been in there, but it has not. So why don't you go ahead and tell us what you like about it, and I'll go ahead and play some games.
Asphalt 9 is a arcade racer. As you can tell from the title, it's the 9th version. I think there are a bunch of spin-offs as well. And it's probably one of the most graphically intensive 3D games for mobile on iOS or Android. And this is one of the first apps I always install on any new Android device, just to kind of get a sense for how well performance is, if there are any drop frames, how well the particles effects are, and just overall how it can handle lots of kind of on-screen 3D objects. So yeah, it's really beautiful. I mean, the quality is fantastic. I never imagined I'd see this kind of level of detail on a smartphone game before. It's probably maybe like Xbox 360 quality. And as you can see, I mean, it works pretty well. And fun fact, it actually works pretty decently on the Palm phone.
Oh.
Yeah, so I ran that on the Palm phone. Battery didn't last very long. I didn't get to play too long, but, and it gets really hot, but, it ran the game surprisingly well. And there's a lot of stuff happening here. You can see a lot of motion blur, a lot of kind of weather effects. Yeah, I mean, this kind of game just pushes the GPU, and it's a good example of what your phone is going to be capable of. So
yeah, totally. Everything moves super fast. Okay, go away, little naggy things. I know how to use my nitro. I know how to use nitro. I just push the button and I go nitro. Yeah, everything moves super fast. The controls on this game are, well, I think you can set them up differently, right? Like right now,
you can definitely have on-screen controls, or you kind of can tilt it. That's
what I'm using right now. Do you know that if it works with a gamepad?
That's a good question. I
would be surprised if it didn't, to be honest. This game.
I mean, it's up to the developer. So yeah, I'm not sure. Good question though.
I'm sorry. I'm gonna go ahead and it works with the gamepad. Game controller support. So that's a good way to play this game too. Asphalt 9 Legends.
It's free. There are a ton of in-app purchases, which again, I'm not a big fan of. But if you just wait, you can get over them.
Yeah, totally. Play through the game, get better with each time, and earn your upgrades over time.
Yeah.
May take a little bit longer, but doesn't keep you out of anything. That's the worst, is when like you can only get to certain things, by buying it. And yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of replay value to it. There's tons of cars, tons of kind of career campaign modes, and they constantly update the game with new kind of tournaments, competitions, and single day races, weekly races. So there's a lot of stuff to come back to.
Nice. Yes, and good reminder, because as a phone reviewer, this is a good game to throw on a phone immediately to see how it does on some of this more fast-paced kind of gameplay. So Asphalt 9 Legends is free, and check it out. It's a lot of fun. It's a great racing game. If you like racing games, you're going to like Asphalt 9. All right, Flo, this year's ringer, or so it seems. I've got your app installed, so I'll go ahead and show it off on the OnePlus 7 Pro while you talk about it.
No pressure,
Okay.
Flo. No pressure. None.
No pressure at all. So I am a fast mover on a smartphone, and I'm really tired of using apps that are super helpful but super bloated. Some apps I'm referring to that I'm specifically calling out are Google Keep and Pocket. Both are great apps that offer a bunch of utility, but at times I feel like they can take a while to load, and I don't always have them instantly. So I wanted to find a clipboard manager that I could just like messily dump links and text into and then deal with later, just to have it archived somewhere without all the bloat. So I found Clipboard Manager Pro. It's $1.99. Support your devs. There is a free version. I don't know what that's like. I always just pay the $2 because I believe in paying people for their hard work. Now, Clipboard Manager is extremely simplistic. So, Jason, have you managed to copy anything yet?
Well, sure. The Infinity display is being taken to an incredible new level of edge curvature, is what I copied. A piece of text, and it added it to the clipboard.
And if you wouldn't mind expanding on that note. So just like an Evernote or a Google Keep, you can copy and paste as much text as you'd like. The way this works is,
Here,
Jason,
I'm going to go in and copy
anywhere.
some
Just
random
literally.
text. Let's go
PC
nuts
Gamer.
here.
Great publication.
Yeah.
So just copy anything.
I want all that.
And then just hit the copy.
Hit the copy.
Just hit copy.
New note has been created.
Yeah. Okay.
You can see
Then
right
you got
here,
your
Armor
little
Vehicles.
notification.
Yeah, there it is.
Go ahead and click into it.
Go ahead.
And there it is.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Boom,
So,
everything.
I really like, again, we move really fast on our phones. We don't want to take a long time just to save some quick clip. Android is still kind of clunky when you're switching between windows. It's just the mobile experience as it is now. And so this is a nice way to quickly, all you have to do is copy it and boom, it's saved as long as the app is running in the background. Now, that might be kind of annoying for you in some cases. I haven't quite figured out how to turn it off during a I don't need it basis, because the thing is this is how I like to use it. So I don't actually mind that it saves everything that I copy. One other little feature that they have there in the settings is that you can enable a keyboard. Now, because I'm on the Android Q beta, this app isn't 100% working the way it's supposed to. So I don't have the nifty, yeah, there you go. It lets you turn on the keyboard. I don't have the nifty ability to get the notification in the notification shade when the copying has been done. So what I've been doing is using this from the share menu. So if you can we just show from the share menu really quick how this works? So just actually go back and highlight some text.
Oh, yeah, I didn't do that. Sorry. Here we go. Okay.
Highlight some important text, and then click on the More button in your share menu, and then you should get the share.
Should it be there? There's copy to clipboard.
Okay.
I think when I do the share button up there, it doesn't do it. Oh, there's share. Never mind. It's right there. Duh. It was right in front of me. Okay. Oh, but no, it's not giving me the extra thing.
Okay. That might be, maybe that's an Android Q thing.
It might be.
I This is the problem with running a beta in the middle of the app Android arena. Regardless, how about I just tell you about some of the other things that this app can do? So it's got auto clean for your clipboard content. So if you are kind of a messy copy and paster like me, you can go into the settings and configure auto cleanup, which is super helpful. You can save. You can easily import notes as you need. You can search your notes just by, just by looking for, let me pop in there. My side of the screen is a little blurry, so I can't quite see everything. There's also a dark mode.
Oh, yes, there is a dark mode.
There's also a dark mode. Yeah, so if you go into the main interface settings, there should be a dark theme toggle. So just scroll down a little bit.
No, I got it. I already have it on.
Okay. Oh, just kidding. It's dark theme right there. Yeah. And then if you keep going under that, you'll see auto clean, and you can choose like how often to clean after a month or a couple days. You can also do cloud backup. It will export your notes to a file, and then you can back that up wherever you would like to. And it's just it's a really helpful little utility to have on the phone. And you know what? I'm finding it a lot easier to use than any of those other super bloaty apps. And then if you want to add a note, you could just do so with the floating action button, which is the magic button on all Android devices.
I saw something cool here in Clipboard. If I go here, there's this little floating action button in here. And it has like a bunch of smart actions tied to it. So.
Yes, this is the other thing I meant to mention. Thank you for bringing that up, Jason. So actually, if you go back to that Chrome browser and highlight the text for me. Okay.
Stand by.
Okay, now you should see. You should see the actions. It should say, sorry, I'm like trying to get on the same page as you. 1 second. And my phone is not loading as fast as yours.
Smart actions.
Smart actions. There you go. So go ahead and tap on smart actions, and then you will get that whole dialog window. You can search it in Google. You can search your applications for this thing. You can translate it. You can show it on a map, or maybe you want to export it to Lyft. You can set it straight to navigation, or you could just simply add it as a new note. And because my Android Q beta is being kind of annoying with this app, I have been using smart actions to save things just until I get a fully stable version of Android on my phone. So that is pretty much Clipboard Manager Pro in a nutshell. I choose all my apps based on reviews and using them. And this one in particular, last update was was actually last year, but the reviews keep on flowing in, and it's GDPR compliant. So have at it. Hopefully they update in time for me on Android Q.
Yeah, I'm sure that they will. Clipboard Manager Pro, $1.99. There's a free version, but $1.99 for the Pro features. And yeah.
Good stuff.
Not bad. Clipboard Manager Pro. All right, 4 great apps this week. twit.to/AAA poll 425 is where you'll go to place your vote. We hope that you will. Is your favorite app Letterboxd, Ink Hunter, Asphalt Legends, or Clipboard Manager Pro? twit.to/AAA poll 425. And Victor's circling, he's swirling, and he lands on Ink Hunter. Victor's
thinking about his next tattoo.
Has a hankering for a tattoo. And we'll see if anyone else has a hankering for a tattoo when he votes. And it's pretty evenly distributed. So I call that a success. It's a good arena. A little bit of something to appeal to everyone.
A little for everybody. That's all.
Right. That's right. And we have reached the end of this episode. So much fun. So great being back, and so awesome having you on. Raymond Wong from Mashable.com. Ray, thank you so much for sacrificing your evening to hang out with us tonight. We really appreciate it.
No, thank you for having me.
It's awesome having you on. We would love to have you back. Tell people, I guess, where they can follow your work. If there's anything specific that you're working on that you expect to, that you want to tease out ahead of time, go for it.
Yeah, Twitter, Ray Wongy, RAYWONGY, and that's it.
And that's it. Keep tuned in there, and you write a lot at Mashable. You keep busy, so
he's now my first source to check camera bumps.
There we go. For all of your camera bump needs.
All right.
Ray, thank you so much. And we would love to have you back again sometime soon. If you're not doing anything on a Tuesday night, we'll get in touch with you.
Yeah, I'd love to be back. Thanks.
Thank you so much, man. And Ron, good to see you. What's going on in your world?
Always a pleasure. Not much. Summer. It's getting hot.
Yeah.
Follow me on Twitter and on Instagram, RonXO. Just, working. Babies. That's about my life these days. So, so it's fun times. Nonsense on Twitter when I remember to go post there.
Yeah.
So, and on Instagram. Actually, Instagram, it was Father's Day. I posted, there's some pictures of the babies on there. So if you want to see them, you can see how cute they are. So there you go.
Nice. Awesome.
A rare glimpse into my private life.
There you are. Right on, Ron. Thank you again. It's always good to see you. And always good to see you, Flo, even though you're not in the studio this time. But that's okay.
Sorry.
No need to be sorry.
Had some things to take care of at home.
It's getting awkward, Flo. It seems like you're avoiding Jason, and I know we probably shouldn't talk about it on the show, but
we're gonna. So, chapter 1.
Well,
it's all good.
Okay, you got me. I'm avoiding Jason.
When you're not avoiding me, what are you doing?
While I'm avoiding you, I'm also working a bunch. So actually, just tune into florenceion.com. I have come up with a couple of little weekly columns that are a little easier for me to post to Flow feed. So this week I just put up my assessment. I call them assessments. It's a new column called Stuff I Like. So if you click on that, Victor, it will take you to the blog post where I give my assessment of the Divoom Pixu. I am just, I'm buying products all the time with my own money, and I'm buying stuff that I don't necessarily cover. So I thought, why not tell you how my life is working out with it? And that's actually what's hanging right behind me right now is the Pixu Divoom right here.
Nice.
Has a little Android on it. It's my new little favorite toy.
Cool.
Of course, I will have my app column later this week and more to come, so just stay tuned. And in the meantime, follow me on Instagram and Twitter at OThatFlow. No W. No, definitely no W. Thank you, Flo. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Good to see you.
I'm not really avoiding you, by the way.
I know, but I enjoy making things awkward, so it's cool. Also, Victor, I enjoy you. Thank you for helping out each and every week. We really appreciate your help.
Oh, thanks. I enjoy you too, Jason.
Thanks.
That's not awkward.
Not awkward at all. Maybe we should rename this episode Awkward. You can find me here at Twit doing my Twit thing on shows because that's what I do. So Tech News Weekly would be my next episode. So that'll be on Thursday. And I have a couple of really cool interviews lined up already. So stay tuned for that. Otherwise, that's kind of it. That's it for this week. Leave us a voicemail, 347-SHOW-AAA. Send us emails at AAA@twit.tv. Find us on Twitter at Android Show. You can find our Arena apps list, all the apps that we've brought into the Arena over the years, twit.to/Android apps. Show notes and past episodes can be found at our one place on the web where you're going to find basically everything that you need to know. It's twit.tv/AAA. There you're going to find all of our past episodes, audio links, video links, podcast links. You'll see Juan from last week pointing at us with a smirk on his face. If you go to last week's episode, everything you need to know is there, including our live information. If you want to watch us live in studio, you can. Just email tickets at twit.tv, or you can check it out on the live stream, twit.tv/live, every Tuesday, starting at around 5 p.m. Pacific. Like I said, twit.tv/live is where you go to do that. That is it for this week. We'll see y'all next week on another episode of All About Android. Bye, everybody.